Miss was at the casino. Iska, who was playing a slot machine, was on the verge of hitting the jackpot. The captain, eager to win, tried his luck with other gambling games. Why were they at the casino, and what were they really doing there? Before we continue the story, let's rewind time to 2 weeks before today. 2 weeks ago, at the Empire's headquarters, Captain Mismis and Rizia were having a conversation. They discussed the upcoming joint training exercise, where Mismis' unit, under Rizia's command, would begin next month. Rizia suggested that Mismis and her unit take their final vacation before the training. The scene then shifts to where Mismis' unit is at the casino, enjoying their last holiday together before their next mission. The details of that mission would be revealed as a surprise by Rizia next week. Jin, with a calm demeanor, tried to reassure the captain by saying, "No matter the mission, you'll only die when it's your time." This statement irritated the captain slightly. To ease the tension, Iska asked why they had come to the casino. With an anxious tone, the captain replied, "For the jackpot." It turns out that Captain Mismis wanted to win the jackpot to purchase the latest Francesco-made Merkava tank model Mi-62. He wanted to buy the tank because in case anything happened to them, they could make a safe escape using the tank. Hearing this, Neen felt admiration for the captain. Jin then praised him as well. The captain became even more enthusiastic after hearing his friend's support. He then ran off and shouted his new goal after winning the jackpot, with Iska and the others following closely behind. Not long after Iska and the others changed locations, the descending elevator revealed two familiar faces stepping out, Rin and Alice. With an excited tone, Rin introduced Alice to the place they had arrived at. They were in Jirak City, the city of entertainment where nobility gathered, a place that suited Alice perfectly. Alice sighed and remarked that she had no interest in gambling. She preferred to stay in the neutral city of Ain. Rin disagreed with Alice's statement, mentioning that if she stayed in the neutral city, she would run into the Empire's soldiers again. Alice blushed upon hearing this and tried to explain that she would fight Iska another time. Rin promptly retorted that she could duel Iska on the battlefield and then turned to invite Alice into the casino. They walked through the casino's corners one by one, and Rin suggested that Alice try playing a slot machine. Alice, not fond of gambling, tried to decline Rin's suggestion. However, her refusal meant nothing to Rin, who insisted on forcing Alice to play the slot machine, claiming that the goddess of victory was with her. When Alice heard about the goddess of victory, she remembered choosing a date for her showdown with Iska. She carefully considered the right date for their battle and the appropriate location for it. Rin then remarked that it shouldn't be like planning a wedding, surprising Alice and making her blush with embarrassment. Seeing Alice blush, Rin changed the topic of conversation and asked Alice to play the slot machine in front of them. As she pressed the button, Alice thought about Iska, as she couldn't possibly meet him in the casino. Suddenly, the slot machine made a noise, signaling that she had hit the jackpot. She was confused by what had happened, thinking the machine might be broken. Coins kept pouring out, exciting Rin, who left Alice to call the staff. People in the casino gathered, surprised and intrigued by someone winning the jackpot. Among the crowd, Nen Chand appeared and praised Alice for hitting the jackpot. Whispering, she said, "With this many coins, you could buy the captain's dream tank." Upon hearing this, Alice handed over the coins she had in her hand. Nen Chan accepted the coins and thanked her. The empty coin slot left the captain frustrated and disheartened. As Iska observed the captain's despondent state, a distant call caught their attention. It was Neen, who approached with a handful of coins, explaining how she had acquired them. The captain, now elated, beamed with joy. Iska praised the coin giver, and Neen provided a description of the person who had given her the coins. After learning the characteristics of this individual, Iska was surprised and briefly entertained the thought of someone matching those descriptions, but ultimately dismissed it. Amidst the dazzling lights of the gambling center in the nighttime cityscape, Alice and Rin were walking after leaving the casino. Their attention was diverted by a building with a sign that read, "Fortune Teller." Without hesitation, Alice entered the building and was greeted by an elderly woman. The elderly woman inquired about what she wanted to know. Alice openly shared that she wanted to know when she would meet a certain young man again, a meeting that would involve just the two of them. The fortune teller laid out card after card and then revealed two cards in particular. After reading these cards, the fortune teller stated that they represented a pair and the person she was waiting for was close by. He was always near her, connected by a strong and unbreakable bond. It was the right time for her to search for someone. Upon hearing this, Alice exited the building and was met by Rin, who inquired about the results. Alice replied that the fortune teller had only said vague and nonspecific things. After their conversation, they left the place. Not long after, Iska and the others arrived at the same building. Without hesitation, Iska entered and sought out the fortune teller. He too was looking for someone. Iska recounted the details of the encounter he was seeking. The fortune teller, unwilling to hear more of Iska's story, opened her cards again and arrived at the same result for the second time. The scene transitions to a room filled with glowing screens, and a welcome greeting is heard for Rizia. The room is the Senate chamber. The senators inquire about the vortex, and Rizia responds that they have obtained results regarding it. Rizia informs the Senate that Nameless is already at the location he mentioned. One of the senators suggests that reinforcements may be needed. They want a dispatch unit in 07 to the vortex. The captain, resting his chin on his hand and yawning on the table, is suddenly startled by Rizia's voice coming from the screen behind him. Rizia contacts them to inform them about another mission she has assigned to them. Before revealing the details of the mission, she explains the origins of the witches and demons, dating back 100 years when the flow of spiritual energy created what is known as the vortex. Without vortex, there would be no great witches or sovereignty. There is a vortex forming, and if sovereignty gains access to it, stronger witches will be born. To prevent this, Unit N07 will act to stop the witches from approaching the vortex. In a towering white building resembling an ice tower, Alice sits in contemplation, holding a handkerchief she received from Iska the other day. She sighs, realizing she forgot to return the handkerchief. Lost in her thoughts, she is suddenly startled by the sound of a door opening, followed by Rin calling out to her. Rin delivers a message from Alice's sibling, stating that there is a disturbance in spiritual energy, possibly the vortex, observed in the Medal Valley, located in the southwest of the sovereignty. Alice is surprised by this news because one of the imperial families delayed reporting it to her. The vortex that has appeared falls under the jurisdiction of one of the nobles in the empire, and if they do not report it, there is a possibility they want to hoard the vortex energy for themselves. Alice then sets off to investigate it on her own. The story continues as Alice walks in one of the sovereignty nobles' cities and is welcomed by a servant. Alice complains about the situation, and Rin, noticing someone's presence, asks to stop the person's actions. A masked man brandishing a dagger toward Alice stops her in her tracks. The man claps his hands and praises Rin for her keen senses. They both then turn around, and Alice asks about the masked individual's intentions. He explains that his spiritual power is weak, which is why he always carries the dagger with him. He then inquires about Alice's presence. She came to investigate the vortex in the Medal Valley, but before she could complete her sentence, the masked man interrupts, saying it's just a magma outburst or possibly underground gas flow. After hearing the masked man's response, Alice leaves him behind. We shift to the Imperial base in the Medal Valley, where Imperial soldiers are stationed. Captain Mismas is seen stretching and looking around at the bustling scene filled with Imperial troops. Iska emerges from one of the tents and calls out to Mismas to inquire whether she reported what happened in the neutral city of Hein. The captain replies that she did report it and was asked for evidence of the witch, but because she didn't have any, she received a reprimand from her superiors. Seeing this, Iska can only apologize to the captain, but his apology is ignored. He then notices and greets his old friend who is walking ahead of him. She is Shanarat Grogori. They have known each other since they were low-ranking soldiers. As they were chatting, a voice commanding them to gather echoed, coming from a man in full black armored attire, which served as optical camouflage. The man was Nameless, the 8th-ranked Saint Disciple from the Imperial Assassin Corps. Nameless, positioned in front of everyone, began delivering a speech and presented a mission that the soldiers had to undertake. The first mission was to secure the vortex before sovereignty did. The second mission was to destroy the vortex if they failed to secure it from sovereignty. The final mission was not to burden oneself with the goal of eliminating the spirit power forces. After his brief speech, the troops dispersed and started searching for the vortex. While they were searching, one of the units was reported missing, and they also lost contact with 2 units investigating the disappearance. Due to this incident, they were ordered to return to the base. Nameless, upon hearing this, ordered not to send rescue troops for the 3 missing units and instructed them to focus on finding the vortex. Iska, feeling that something was amiss, went to speak with Nameless. Nameless, seeing this, dismissed him, stating that if Iska wanted to talk, he needed a higher rank first. Iska then lowered his head, and the captain's voice was heard from behind, requesting to speak with Nameless, the Saint Disciple. Miss introduced herself as the captain of Unit N07 and asked for rescue troops to be sent for the missing soldiers. The scene shifted to Iska gathering with the other members of Unit N07, where he recounted the events following the captain's request to the Saint Disciple. As they were chatting, the bathroom curtain suddenly opened, and the captain emerged without a single piece of clothing. Neen, who witnessed this, teased her a bit, and the captain, taken aback, quickly closed the bathroom curtain while yelling loudly,